I looked at my son across the mahogany table in my dining room, the same table where we'd shared thousands of meals, and I said the word that would cost me everything. No. I'm Richard Morrison. I'm 68 years old, and I spent 42 years as an architect in Denver, Colorado. I designed schools, libraries, community centers, buildings meant to last. I thought I was building something that would last with my son, too. I was wrong. Let me take you back 6 months before that conversation. It was a Tuesday morning in March when my phone rang. My son Marcus was calling, which wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the excitement in his voice. Dad, I've got incredible news. Veronica and I just closed on a house. You have to see it. I felt that warm rush any parent feels when their child succeeds. Marcus was 37, doing well as a commercial real estate agent. He'd married Veronica 3 years earlier, a striking woman from a wealthy Connecticut family. I'd paid for their wedding, $50,000. Veronica's parents had contributed nothing, citing some family trust issue. That's wonderful, son. Where is it? Cherry Creek. 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, mountain views. There's even a wine cellar. Cherry Creek, one of Denver's most expensive neighborhoods. I felt a small twist in my stomach but pushed it away. He was successful. He could afford it. Sounds beautiful. I'm proud of you. Can you come see it this weekend? We're having a small gathering, just close friends and family. That Saturday, I drove to the address Marcus had given me. When I pulled up, my breath caught. The house wasn't just nice. It was a statement. Modern architecture, all glass and steel and clean lines. The kind of house that appears in magazines. The kind of house I used to dream about designing. Veronica answered the door wearing what I'd learned was Chanel. Everything Veronica wore was a brand I was supposed to recognize. Richard, come in. Isn't it magnificent? She'd never called me Dad. Always Richard. The interior was even more impressive. Soaring ceilings, Italian marble, custom everything. I did the math in my head. In this neighborhood, with these finishes, this house cost at least $1.2 million. Probably more. Marcus gave me the tour, pointing out features with boyish enthusiasm. The smart home system, the heated floors, the outdoor kitchen. I smiled and nodded, but that twist in my stomach was getting tighter. In the kitchen, Veronica poured wine. Expensive wine. I knew, because she made sure to tell me it was a 2015 Chateau Margaux, $200 a bottle. So, Dad, what do you think? Marcus asked. It's beautiful, son. Really impressive. I knew you'd love it. He glanced at Veronica, and something passed between them. A look I couldn't quite read. Actually, there's something we wanted to talk to you about. Here it comes, I thought. We sat in their living room. Veronica perched on a white sofa that probably cost more than my first car. Marcus sat forward, his hands clasped between his knees like he was about to make a business pitch. Dad, you know I've always been grateful for everything you've done for me. College, the wedding, everything. I nodded, waiting. This house is a big step for us. The mortgage is substantial, $900,000. I felt my jaw tighten but said nothing. The thing is, Veronica and I have been talking. You're 68. You've got that retirement account from the firm, the pension, Social Security. You've told me yourself you've saved almost $2 million. My heart started pounding. Marcus, where is this going? Veronica leaned forward. Richard, you need to understand something. In my family, parents help their children establish themselves. It's what families do. I paid for your education, I said quietly. I paid for your wedding, and we appreciate that, Marcus said quickly. But this is different. This is about our future. Our children's future. You don't have children. Not yet, Veronica said, her voice cooling. But when we do, they'll need the right environment, the right schools, the right neighborhood. Marcus pulled out his phone and opened a calculator app. Dad, listen, if you could help us with $300,000, we could significantly reduce our monthly payment. We'd pay you back, of course. Eventually, I looked at my son, really looked at him. When had he become this person? I remembered the boy who used to help me in my workshop, who was fascinated by the way buildings went together. I remembered teaching him that every structure needs a solid foundation. I remembered him saying he wanted to be just like me when he grew up. No, I said. The room went silent. Veronica's expression hardened. Marcus looked shocked. What do you mean? No. I mean, I'm not giving you $300,000. But you have it, Veronica said, her voice sharp. You just said you have $2 million saved. That's my retirement, Veronica. That's what I worked 42 years to build. Marcus stood up. Dad, I'm not asking you to give me all of it, just enough to help us get settled. You are settled. You make $180,000 a year. That's more than I ever made. Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching. And they no way, that's not the point, Veronica snapped. The point is what family does for each other. I stood up too. Family? Let me tell you what family is. Family is raising a son by yourself after his mother dies. Family is working 60-hour weeks so he can go to college debt-free. Family is teaching him to stand on his own 2 feet. So that's it? Marcus said, his voice rising. After everything, you're just going to turn your back on us? I'm not turning my back on anything. I'm saying no to a request that makes no financial or moral sense. I left. I drove home in silence, my hands shaking on the wheel. That was 3 months ago. For 2 weeks, Marcus didn't call. Then the letter arrived. It was from a law firm in downtown Denver. Hutchins and Reeves, attorneys at law. I opened it at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee that went cold while I read. They were suing me. Marcus and Veronica were suing me for $600,000. The claim was absurd. They alleged that I had made a verbal promise to help with their house purchase. That over the years, I had repeatedly told Marcus that his inheritance was secure and that I wanted to help him and his future wife establish themselves. That my refusal had caused them severe emotional distress and financial hardship. I read it 3 times. Then I called my lawyer. James Peterson had handled my estate planning for 20 years. He'd known my late wife, Margaret. He'd watched Marcus grow up. When I read him the lawsuit over the phone, he was silent for a long moment. Richard, I'm sorry. Can they do this? They can file anything. Winning is another matter. Did you ever promise them money for a house? Never. Not once. I told Marcus years ago that I'd worked hard to build security for myself, but I never promised him anything beyond what I'd already given. Good. We can fight this. It's going to be expensive, though. How expensive? Legal fees could run $25,000, $30,000. Maybe more if it goes to trial. I closed my eyes. Do it. The next months were a nightmare. Depositions, document requests, interrogatories. I had to turn over bank statements, retirement account records, every financial document I had. Marcus and Veronica's lawyer was a sharp young woman who treated me like a criminal, like I was stealing from my own son. The deposition was the worst. Marcus sat across from me in a conference room and wouldn't meet my eyes. The lawyer asked me questions clearly scripted to make me look like a miser hoarding wealth while my son struggled. Mr. Morrison, isn't it true you have approximately $1.9 million in retirement savings? Yes. And isn't it true your son has never asked you for money before this? That's not accurate. I paid for his education and his wedding, but those were gifts, weren't they? Not loans? They were a father helping his son. So you've established a pattern of financial support? James objected. But I saw where this was going. They were trying to build a case that I had created an expectation of support. Then came Marcus's deposition. I wasn't there, but James shared the transcript with me. My son had told his friends, his co-workers, even Veronica's family that I was going to help with the house. He'd bragged about it, made it seem like a done deal. Why were you so confident your father would give you $300,000? The lawyer had asked. Because he always has, Marcus said. He's always been there for me. I just assumed this would be the same. Assumed. He'd built his entire financial plan on an assumption. But then we found something. James's investigator dug into Marcus and Veronica's finances. In the 6 months before they bought the house, Veronica had spent $47,000. Designer clothes, a new car, a trip to Paris. Meanwhile, Marcus's commission income had dropped. He'd lost 2 major deals. They weren't struggling because of the mortgage. They were struggling because they were living beyond their means. James filed a motion to dismiss. The judge denied it. We were going to trial. The night before court, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my study, the same study where I used to help Marcus with his homework, where we'd talk about his dreams and his future. There was a framed photo on my desk. Marcus at his college graduation, his arm around me, both of us grinning. I picked it up, traced the outline of his face with my finger. Where did I go wrong? I thought about Margaret. She died when Marcus was 12. Breast cancer. It took her in 8 months. Before she died, she'd made me promise to take care of him, to raise him right, to make sure he became a good man. I'd tried. God knows I'd tried. But there was something else Margaret had said. Something I'd forgotten until that moment. We were in her hospital room, maybe a week before the end. She was so weak, she could barely lift her head. Richard, promise me something else. Anything. Don't let him take you for granted. I see it sometimes. The way he expects things. He's young. He'll grow out of it. But if he doesn't, you have to be strong enough to teach him. I'd promised. But had I kept that promise? Or had I made it worse by always being there? Always saying yes? Always making things easy? Court day arrived. I wore my best suit, the charcoal gray one I'd worn to Marcus's wedding. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. There were only a few people in the gallery. Some of Marcus and Veronica's friends. My neighbor, Frank, who'd come to support me. Marcus and Veronica sat at the plaintiff's table. Marcus looked thin. He'd lost weight. Veronica looked angry, her jaw set, her eyes hard. The judge was a woman in her 60s, Judge Patricia Hendricks. She had a reputation for being no-nonsense. The plaintiff's lawyer made her opening statement, painted me as a wealthy man, abandoning his son in his time of need. Made it sound like I was Scrooge counting my gold while my poor son froze in the streets. Then James stood up. Your Honor, this case is about entitlement. It's about a young couple who made poor financial decisions and now want the defendant, a 68-year-old retired man, to bail them out of consequences of their own making. The plaintiff is a successful real estate agent who earns a 6-figure salary. The plaintiff's wife comes from wealth. They chose to buy a $1.2 million house knowing they couldn't comfortably afford the mortgage. And when the defendant, who had already paid for his son's education and wedding, declined to hand over $300,000 from his retirement savings, they sued him. Over the next 2 days, we presented evidence. Bank statements showing Marcus's income. Credit card bills showing Veronica's spending. Testimony from Marcus's colleagues that he'd told them I was going to pay for the house before he'd even asked me. Then came the moment I'd been dreading. I took the stand. The plaintiff's lawyer went after me hard. Mr. Morrison, do you love your son? Yes. Do you want to see him succeed? Of course. Then why won't you help him? I took a breath. Because helping him pay for a house he can't afford isn't help. It's enabling. Enabling what? Enabling him to continue making decisions without considering consequences. Enabling him to believe that someone will always bail him out. That's convenient, she said. You can justify your selfishness by calling it a life lesson. James objected. Sustained, but the damage was done. She'd planted the seed. Was I being a good father, or was I just being selfish? Then it was James's turn. Mr. Morrison, in your 42 years as an architect, did you ever have a project fail? Yes. What happened? I learned from it. I figured out what went wrong, and didn't make the same mistake again. Did anyone bail you out? No. What would have happened if they had? I thought about it. I wouldn't have learned. I'd have made the same mistakes again. After my testimony, the judge called both lawyers to the bench. They spoke in whispers for several minutes. Then Judge Hendricks looked at me. Mr. Morrison, I'd like to ask you something directly. Yes, Your Honor. Did you ever at any time promise your son in writing that you would give him money for a house? No, Your Honor. Did you ever tell him verbally that you would give him money for a house? No, Your Honor. I told him years ago that I'd worked hard to secure my retirement. I never promised him access to that money. She nodded slowly. Then, she turned to Marcus. Mr. Morrison the younger. Stand up, please. Marcus stood, his face pale. I've reviewed the evidence in this case. I've listened to the testimony. I have a question for you. When you bought a house you couldn't afford, did it occur to you that you were gambling with your financial security? Your Honor. Did it occur to you that your father, at 68 years old, needs his retirement savings for his own security? Marcus didn't answer. Did it occur to you that suing your father might permanently damage your relationship with him? Yes, Marcus whispered. Then why did you do it? Marcus looked at Veronica. She stared straight ahead, her face like stone. I thought, Marcus said slowly. I thought he owed me. Judge Hendricks removed her glasses. I'm going to tell you something, young man. Your father doesn't owe you anything. He raised you. He fed you. He educated you. He gave you every advantage. What you do with those advantages is your responsibility. She put her glasses back on. I'm dismissing this case. Furthermore, I'm ordering the plaintiffs to pay the defendants' legal fees, which I understand amount to approximately $27,000. Case closed. The gavel came down. I sat there, numb. I'd won, but I felt no joy. Marcus and Veronica left without looking at me. I watched them go. My son's shoulders hunched, Veronica's heels clicking on the marble floor. Frank clapped me on the back. You did it, Richard. You beat them. But had I? I'd won the case. But what had I lost? That night, James came to my house. We sat in my study with glasses of scotch. There's something you should know, he said. Something Margaret set up before she died. What do you mean? She established a trust. Separate from your will. It's for Marcus. I stared at him. How much? 500,000. It becomes accessible when he turns 40, with conditions. What conditions? He has to demonstrate financial responsibility. No bankruptcy. No lawsuits against family members. And he has to reconcile with you. I felt my eyes burn. She knew. She was a wise woman. She wanted to provide for him, but she wanted to make sure he earned it, became the man she hoped he'd be. I thought about that for a long time. 2 years passed. I didn't hear from Marcus except through lawyers handling the payment of legal fees. He paid in installments, $27,000, $100 at a time. It was petty, but it was payment. Then, one Tuesday morning in October, my doorbell rang. It was Marcus. He stood on my porch holding a paper bag, looking older somehow, tired. Can I come in? I stepped aside. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place I'd read the lawsuit 2 years earlier. Marcus pulled a thermos from the bag. I remember you always liked that coffee from Pablo's. I brought some. I didn't say anything. I'm sorry, Dad. 2 words. They hung in the air. Between us. Veronica and I divorced. 6 months ago. I'm sorry to hear that. He laughed bitterly. Don't be. It was the best thing that could have happened. Turns out she was cheating on me with her personal trainer. Had been for over a year. I felt a strange mix of vindication and sadness. We lost the house. Couldn't keep up the payments. I'm renting now. A 2-bedroom in Lakewood. How are you doing? Honestly? Better. I've been seeing a therapist. Working through some things. Understanding some things. Like what? He met my eyes for the first time. Like the fact that I became someone I'm not proud of. Someone who sued his own father. Someone who thought the world owed him something. I poured us both coffee from his thermos. It was still hot. I've been thinking about what you said, Marcus continued. About enabling. About consequences. You were right, Dad. If you'd given me that money, I wouldn't have learned. I'd have kept living beyond my means. I'd have kept expecting someone to save me. And now I'm saving myself. I'm rebuilding, starting over. It's hard, but it's honest. We sat in silence for a while, drinking coffee. Can I ask you something? Marcus said. Anything. Why didn't you ever tell me about the trust? The one Mom set up? So he knew. Your lawyer told you? James called me last week, said I was approaching 40, said there was something I should know about, something I could access if I met certain conditions. I nodded. Your mother was smarter than both of us. She knew you'd need help someday, but she also knew you needed to become the kind of man who deserved that help. Marcus's eyes welled up. I miss her. Me too, son. Every day. He reached across the table, put his hand over mine. His hand was bigger than I remembered. When had that happened? I have 3 more months until I turn 40. I'm going to spend them proving to you that I've changed, that I'm someone you can be proud of again. I never stopped being proud of you, Marcus. Even when I was angry, even when I was hurt. You're my son. He squeezed my hand. Can I come back? Not for money. Not for anything except this. Coffee. Conversation. Time. I felt something break open in my chest. Something that had been locked tight for 2 years. I'd like that. Now. 6 months later, Marcus comes over every Tuesday morning. We drink coffee from Pablo's. We talk about his work, his life, his therapy. Sometimes we talk about his mother. Sometimes we just sit in comfortable silence. He's dating someone new. Sarah. She's a teacher. She drives a Honda Civic and wears clothes from Target. When he talks about her, his eyes light up in a way they never did with Veronica. Last week, he brought her to meet me. She was nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. Mr. Morrison, Marcus has told me about everything that happened. I just want you to know, I'm not like that. I don't care about fancy houses or expensive things. I smiled. Call me Richard, and I can see you're not like that. I can see it in the way he looks at you. After they left, I sat in my study looking at that photo of Marcus's graduation. But now, there was a new photo beside it. From last month, Marcus and me at the Denver Botanic Gardens. He has his arm around me. We're both grinning. Sometimes being a good father means saying yes. Saying yes to love, to support, to presence. But sometimes, being a good father means saying no. Saying no to entitlement. No to enabling. No to making life so easy that your child never learns to be strong. I said no to my son 3 years ago. It cost me everything. Our relationship, my peace, my certainty that I was doing the right thing. But that no led to this yes. This Tuesday morning ritual, this rebuilding, this second chance. Margaret would be proud. Not of what I did, but of what Marcus became because of it. I'm Richard Morrison. I'm 71 years old now. I'm a retired architect and a father. And sometimes, the strongest structures are the ones that have to be torn down and rebuilt from the foundation up. My son and I, we're building something new, something solid, something that will last.